Hey everybody, Joshua Berngard here with the Buzzer Real Estate team. Thank you for tuning in once again. I have a special guest, as you can see on the other side of my screen. This is Janet Boyle. She is the founder and principal of Family Law Solutions. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
Wonderful. Yeah, so let me tell you guys how I really came about calling upon Janet. She put an article out with her company about 3 weeks, a month ago, about what really happens with a spouse of a CEO, businessman, businesswoman, or executive in a company. And so it is really coming from a situation which I see quite often when dealing with divorcees. We're selling their home, we're trying to figure out what that looks like, and would love for you to touch base and kind of educate those that are watching, especially, again, the article focuses in on 50-year-olds and up, right? Because that's the golden age, if you will, that most people didn't have two incomes in a household. It was one breadwinner, and obviously then someone else was taking care of the kid, managing the house, whatever that may look like. And so the generations have changed, but there are still some out there that are sitting here. So can you, first of all, as we were talking before, can you kind of touch base on what does it look like, the law, what it states, what a spouse would get unworking?
Yeah. See, the questions always become very personal to each case, and that's what's really important because, you know, when we wrote that article, you can notice there's a lot of questions and not necessarily a lot of answers, because some of the questions are, you know, what will I have to live on? What will my support be? And the answer is it really depends on what your income is, his or her income is, and what the lifestyle was during the marriage. But let's be honest, you know, the lifestyle during the marriage, when you cut it into two piles, can you still have the same lifestyle? And I don't care if you're 25 or 85, the answer to that is generally no, okay? There are some very wealthy people out there that the answer is yes. But even people with a lot of assets can't always, end up living the way that they live. So the law says, okay, that the lower earning spouse, okay, will get 33% of the other spouse's income minus 25% of their income, okay, and not to exceed 40% of the total income. So what you're dealing with is that a spouse who's been married, and the point of the 50 and above is those are usually long-term marriages. And long-term marriages and divorce is defined as 20 years or longer, okay? So you've got people who are married for 20, 30, 40 years, and now they're going to split up. And are they going to walk out equal?
Never.
Rarely. Let's put it that way.
I haven't seen it myself.
Exactly.
For me, it's never. Okay.
And so, you know, and there's so many issues that come in as people get older. You know, if they've had a retirement plan, it included both of them living in the same house.
Correct.
You know, living in the second house, okay, for vacations. And now they're getting divorced and they can't have that. So what can they have? You know, I mean, and that's partially where you come in, is that where's the equity in the house? Is one person going to keep it? Is somebody else, are you going to sell it? Are you going to divide it? You know, and who gets what portion? Most people walk into my office say they presume that the assets are going to be divided equally. You know, and that's not Illinois law. Illinois law is equitably, okay? So it's not unusual for the lower earning spouse to get a larger percentage of the assets, like 60% of the house, 60% of some bank accounts. But does that ever compensate for that difference in the income?
Correct.
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, it's all different, but it's really something, and again, that I think 90% of the people that I even work with or talk to, and like I said, I'm coming in at the very late stages of this when they're usually getting forced to sell, is that, you know, again, I want to educate those, especially my generation. I think after this COVID situation, I think, you know, the article says that that 50-year-olds and plus are on a rapid number, and I know it's been on an incline for the last almost 4 years now, that they're getting divorced. And so I know after COVID, there's going to be a whole surplus, I think, on every age bracket.
No doubt. Yeah.
So I think this is very important that, you know, again, these questions need to be asked. So I wrote some down, obviously, from here. So some of the things that the article that you guys referenced as well was saying, hey, the 5 mistakes. And so let's just touch a base on them. Waiting to consult with a financial expert.
I always advise it almost immediately. Okay, once I get the information, I either want them to meet with their financial expert that they have, or I can get them to somebody who's good. Okay, and look at it realistically. Look at where things are invested now, where they need to be invested in the future, and so much that depends on the age again. If you're in your 30s, you're going to invest one way. If you're in your 50s, 60s, you're going to invest a different way. Definitely. So early on, you got to get a handle on what's there, and it's funny, Josh, because almost every case, one side knows all the answers, and the other side knows none of the answers. Okay, so the
finances.
Yeah, one side handles it. They pay the bills, they do the investing, whatever. So one side has to really get a handle and needs somebody that they can trust, which is rarely the person that the other side's using. So again.
Hence why I get called in, right? Again,
exactly.
It's not my situation.
Exactly.
All right. So the second thing, understanding your liquidity needs. Mm-hmm. This goes back to the same thing. How much do you need? How much do you want to live in its essence? Because God, can you touch base on the percentage? And I'm sure it's in here about how many people live underneath the poverty line after getting divorced in their 50s.
Well, and I know that I think you you even pulled some numbers. Is 80% of women over 65 are more likely than men to live under the poverty line.
There it is.
Again, it's changing. Even with my generation, it's changing. Women in particular are working more, have more professions. Are a wage earner, but I see it even in your generation and younger than you, that there still is one of the two that generally takes the care of the children or forgoes some of their career potential. Okay, so, and it's usually women still to this day, even in the younger generations, but it can be the men. There's more and more stay-at-home dads, and that. So that is the person who's going to be potentially below the poverty level.
Impacted the most.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Okay. Now, again, I'm kind of going through this. Next question was letting emotions take over. Now, I've seen it, so you got to talk about it. Again, these are the 5 mistakes. So talk to the audience here watching us about that.
Emotions. Okay. And again, when somebody comes in to see me, usually one side or the other is way ahead. They had decided a year ago they're getting divorced, okay? So in their mind, they've come to a conclusion that this is where it has to go. But the other side is often blindsided, okay? And that makes it very difficult because they have to go through those stages of emotions to get to where the other person is. And oftentimes that's so hard because since the other side decided a year ago or 6 months ago or 4 years ago, the other side feels betrayed. You know what I mean? You living a lie. You cheated me. I don't trust you anymore. And it just deteriorates from there. You were talking earlier about being able to come in and help, with these contentious situations where nobody trusts the other person's, realtor, financial expert, or whatever it is. I'm sure you've seen it. I want the plant. Okay, no, you can't have the plant. When I was younger, the way that we used to do things is they'd always be fighting over something silly. I want the lawnmower, but you're moving to a condo. But I bought the lawnmower. I need the lawnmower. What are you going to do with the lawnmower? So we would buy the other side of the lawnmower. The 2 lawyers would get together and chip in $150 each to go buy another lawnmower or whatever it cost. Microwaves. It sounds so ridiculous now, but back in the day, people would fight over the microwaves. We'd buy them a second microwave. Because people get hung up emotionally on things that don't matter. The house is a great example of that. I went to a seminar once where the speaker said we have to disabuse the women of the bricks, okay? And that is so often the largest or one of the largest assets in an estate is the equity in the home. So, and what people need to understand, it's no longer a home. It's a house. It's a piece of property. The home is where you make it, and you can make it somewhere else. But people put a lot of effort and time into their house, and they feel like it's that brick and mortar and not what you do to it. But yeah, the emotions run rampant and everything, the distrust, the feeling betrayed, the disloyalty. You know, it's sometimes justified and sometimes not, but it's there in almost every case. You know, so.
Amen. Thank you. And the last one I think which is really pinpointing a lot, failing to properly insure what you're owed in the future.
Yeah. And this is where getting a financial advisor early on is really important, you know, because somebody has to take over and you know, I know you've referenced new normal, okay? There's a new normal, okay? And it isn't what you saw before. That's in every case. I don't care if you're 25 or 55 or 65. But when you're older, it's really important because your new normal has to be something less generally than what you had. Or even if it doesn't, it's different because there isn't the two of you, okay? So you have to adjust. You have to know what your assets will do. You have to know how long you need to work. You need to know how long you can count on getting support or paying support, depending on which side you're on, okay? And, you know, those are things that have to come in, you know, to play. Long-term marriages, the parties really should walk out somewhat equal. But even when they do, okay, even if they do, if one side is going to be continuing to work and make more money and continue to have the ability to fund a 401k, you know, continue to have their employer pay for their medical insurance, you know, all of that, and the other side isn't, they have to drain assets, you know, to do that, okay, that's where the discrepancy comes in. So you gotta have that plan, you know, you gotta have that idea that maybe this is all I'm going to get. You know, if that's all I have for the rest of my life, how can I live? Okay, what is my standard of living? What can I do? Okay, if I'm going to get support for a limited period of time, how much can I bank during that time to, you know, to protect the future years? There's a lot that goes into it. You know, people always think divorce lawyers just deal with the emotions, and actually we're dealing with the real estate, the financial advisor, the estate planner. That's something that, you know, I mean, you got to get into the estate planner and decide where's it going to go. You don't have that husband or wife anymore, you know.
So true. And with your experience, I could hear it. I know it, obviously, being the principal of your firm. It is definitely something that, you know, again, only with someone with experience kind of going through a number of divorces would you even think about, oh, your employer pays for your health insurance. Yep. And the flip side, yeah, I mean, it's these small things like you said. And so I appreciate your expertise on this. And that's why I brought you on here. So everybody, I'm going to put her information on right after this. So please make sure you reach out. If in fact, I hope you don't, but if you do,
I always say, my line is always, I never want the people I know, but their neighbor or friend or that is always great.
You got it.
So, Josh, thank you for having me. This was great. And, you know, I look forward to working with you in the future.
You got it. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.